The alien's hand clamped around his wrist like iron. "You will marry me now," she said. Ethan Brooks stared at the woman who'd just dragged him behind a cargo container in the station's loading bay. She wasn't human. Close, but not quite. Her skin held a faint silver sheen under the harsh lights, and her eyes were too bright, too sharp. "What?" No time for questions. She pressed something cold into his palm. "A ring. Put this on. When the guards arrive, you are my husband. We met on Earth. You came here to bring me home." Footsteps echoed across the bay. Heavy boots. Multiple sets. Ethan's brain screamed at him to run, but something in her expression stopped him. Not fear. Desperation. The kind that made people do insane things. "Why would I?" "Because they will kill me if you don't." Her voice dropped. "And probably you too, since you've seen me." The footsteps grew louder. She grabbed his face with both hands. "My name is Kira." "Say it, Kira." "Good." "You're Ethan. We married 6 months ago. You work in asteroid mining. I was visiting family on Centauri Station when the war started. You came to get me. Simple story. Don't elaborate." "What? War?" She kissed him. Ethan's eyes went wide. Her lips were warm, surprisingly soft, and the kiss lasted exactly long enough to look genuine before she pulled back. "Trust me, or we both die," she whispered. 4 guards rounded the container. They wore black armor with an insignia Ethan didn't recognize. Pulse rifles pointed directly at both of them. "Step away from the human," the lead guard barked. Kira's entire demeanor shifted. The desperation vanished, replaced by annoyance. "Excuse me? This is my husband." The guard's eyes narrowed. "Identification. Both of you." Ethan's hand trembled as he pulled out his ID chip. Kira produced hers with steady fingers. The guard scanned them both. Ethan Brooks. Terran citizen. Mining contractor. The guard's voice was flat. He looked at Kira's scan. Kira Thaney. Registered marriage to Ethan Brooks. Terran date. He paused. 6 months ago? When had she forged that? "Is there a problem, officer?" Kira's tone could freeze helium. "Because my husband and I have a transport to catch." The guard studied them. "You're aware there's a travel restriction on all Thane family members. I'm aware my cousin is an idiot who got himself involved in something stupid," Kira said. "I'm also aware that I'm a legal citizen of Earth through marriage, which means your restriction doesn't apply to me." The guard's jaw tightened. "We'll need to verify." "Verify whatever you want. We'll be in Bay 7. Kira grabbed Ethan's hand and started walking. Every instinct told Ethan this was insane, but her grip was crushing his fingers, and something about the way those guards looked at her made his stomach turn. They passed the guards. 10 steps. 20. No pulse blast came. They turned the corner, and Kira's pace doubled. "What the hell just happened?" Ethan hissed. "You just became the only thing standing between me and execution," she said. "Welcome to the war, husband." Kira dragged him through 3 corridors before shoving him into a maintenance closet. "Start talking," Ethan said. "Right now." She was already pulling gear from a hidden compartment in the wall. Body armor, weapons, a datapad that glowed with encrypted files. "The Thane family controls 40% of the galaxy's fuel refineries," she said, strapping on the armor with practiced efficiency. 3 days ago, my brother discovered the Coalition has been poisoning our stations. Slow acting, undetectable until it's too late. He went public, and they declared him a terrorist, froze all Thane assets, and issued execution orders for every family member. She tossed him a jacket. "Put that on, it has shielding." Ethan caught it reflexively. "That's insane. The Coalition has been preparing for this war for 5 years. Kira's eyes met his. They needed a reason to seize the refineries. My brother gave them one by exposing their plan too early, so you used me. Yes, at least she was honest. The marriage registry is real, she continued. I hacked the Terran database 2 hours ago. As far as any system knows, we've been married for 6 months. Complete digital footprint. Messages, photos, financial record, photos. She pulled up the datapad, showed him an image of the two of them at what looked like a beach, his arm around her waist, both smiling. And AI generation, she said. Very good, AI generation. Ethan stared at the impossible photo. You're telling me I'm legally married to a woman I met 5 minutes ago, and now I'm caught in an interstellar war? Essentially, yes. And if I walk away? Kira's expression hardened. Those guards took your biometric data. You're in the system now, associated with me. If you walk away, they'll assume you helped me escape. They'll question you. And when I say question, I mean they'll tear your mind apart looking for information you don't have. The closet suddenly felt very small. Besides, she added, checking the charge on a plasma pistol, you put on the ring. Ethan looked down. The silver band gleamed on his finger. He tried to pull it off. It didn't budge. Genetic lock, Kira said. It's bonded to your DNA now. Can't remove it without medical equipment, which means every scanner in this station will read you as my husband. You've got to be kidding me. I needed insurance you wouldn't bolt. She handed him the plasma pistol. Do you know how to use this? I'm a mining contractor. We use drills, not guns. Point and squeeze. The targeting assist will do the rest. She moved to the door, pressing her ear against it. We need to reach Bay 7 in 6 minutes. There's a ship waiting. Whose ship? Mine. Well, it was my brother's. Now it's evidence in a treason case, which means it's scheduled for impound in 8 minutes. Ethan felt reality tilting sideways. This morning he'd been reviewing mineral surveys. Now he was armed, married, and apparently stealing a spacecraft. Why me? He asked. Why grab some random human? Kira glanced back. For the first time, something almost like guilt flickered across her face. Because Terran citizens have legal protections the Coalition can't easily violate, and because you were alone, unremarkable, and in the right place. She paused. And because you have kind eyes, and I thought you might actually help if I asked. You didn't ask. You threatened me. Would you have said yes if I'd asked? Ethan opened his mouth, closed it. Kira smiled grimly. That's what I thought. Come on, husband. Time to run. She opened the door and immediately fired 3 shots down the corridor. Ethan dove out behind her as return fire scorched the air. 2 guards dropped. A third ducked behind a support beam. Stay low! Kira sprinted forward. Ethan's legs moved on autopilot. The plasma pistol felt wrong in his hand. Too light, too deadly. They reached an intersection. Kira yanked him left as an explosion tore through the corridor they'd just left. They're not trying to capture you anymore, Ethan gasped. No, now they're trying to eliminate the evidence. Kira's voice was cold. Me, you, and anything that proves the marriage is real. They burst into Bay 7. The ship was beautiful, sleek, dark metal that seemed to absorb light. The boarding ramp was already lowering. Go! Kira shoved him forward. Ethan ran. His boots hit the ramp. Behind them, more guards poured into the bay. Energy blast hammered the ship's shields. Kira fired back, retreating step by step. She reached the ramp. It started rising. A guard threw something. Ethan saw it arc through the air. Small, cylindrical, blinking red. Kira! She turned, saw the grenade. Her eyes widened. Then she did something Ethan would never forget. She jumped off the ramp, caught the grenade midair, and threw it back. The explosion consumed 3 guards. The shockwave knocked Kira backwards. She hit the rising ramp hard, started to slide off. Ethan grabbed her arm, pulled with everything he had. They collapsed together onto the deck as the ramp sealed shut. The ship's engines roared to life. Kira was laughing. Actually laughing, blood running from a cut on her forehead. "You saved me," she said. "You're insane," Ethan replied. "Probably." She staggered to her feet, headed for the cockpit. "Strap in, husband. This is going to get worse before it gets better." The ship punched through the station's launch tube and into open space. Behind them, 3 coalition fighters broke formation and pursued. The fighters targeting Locke screamed in their ears. Kira's hands flew across the controls. The ship rolled hard, and Ethan's stomach tried to exit through his spine. "Shields at 60%, she said calmly, like she was reading a grocery list. "That's bad, right?" "That's very bad." The ship bucked as energy blasts hammered their stern. Warning lights painted the cockpit red. Ethan gripped his seat restraints. "Do you actually know how to fly this thing?" "My brother taught me." Another roll, another miss. Of course, he was a much better pilot.
"That's not comforting."
Kira grinned. Actually grinned. "Hold on." She cut the engines completely. They went into free fall. The fighters overshot them, their momentum carrying them forward. For 3 seconds, everything was silent, except Ethan's hammering heartbeat. Then Kira reignited the engines at full burn. They shot forward, now behind the fighters. She armed weapons and fired in one smooth motion. The leftmost fighter exploded in a bloom of orange flame. "Yes!" Ethan shouted before he could stop himself. The 2 remaining fighters peeled off, circling for another attack vector. "Don't celebrate yet," Kira muttered. She pulled up a star map. "We need to jump to FTL, but the nav computer needs 30 seconds to calculate a safe route. How long until they're in firing position?" 20 seconds. I know." The fighters came around. Ethan could see them through the viewport now, sleek and deadly, their weapons charging. Kira's fingers danced across the controls. She was routing power from life support to shields, adjusting their trajectory in microbursts, doing 17 things at once. 15 seconds. A blast clipped their port side. The ship shuddered. "Shields at 40%, Kira said. Her voice stayed level, but sweat beaded on her forehead. 10 seconds. Another hit. Sparks erupted from a console behind them. 30%. 5 seconds. The fighters were right on top of them now. Ethan could see the glow of their weapons charging for the killing shot. "Kira, trust me." She killed the shields entirely. Every bit of power flooded into the FTL drive. The nav computer chimed. Route calculated. The fighters fired. Kira engaged the drive. Reality twisted. The universe stretched like taffy, and Ethan's vision went white. He felt like he was being pulled apart and compressed simultaneously, every atom screaming. Then it stopped. They were somewhere else. The view screen showed unfamiliar stars. No fighters. No station. Just empty space. Ethan's hands were shaking. Did we make it? Kira slumped in her seat. We made it. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The adrenaline was draining away, leaving Ethan feeling hollow and strange. "Where are we?" he finally asked. "Deep space, Sector 12, about 40 light years from where we started." She pulled up diagnostics. "Hull integrity at 70%, shields offline. We need repairs. Can we make them here?" "No, we need a station." She plotted a course. "There's a fringe outpost 8 hours from here, independent, not coalition-controlled. We can dock there, fix the damage, and figure out our next move. Our next move." Like they were a team now, Ethan unbuckled his restraints. His legs felt weak when he stood. I need answers. Real ones. Who are you really? Kira met his eyes. I told you. Kira, Thani. My family controls, not that. Who are you? He gestured at the cockpit, the weapons, the way she'd moved through combat like she was born to it. You're not just some refinery heiress. She was quiet for a long moment. My family has enemies, she said finally. I was trained to protect myself. Combat, tactics, survival. My father insisted all his children learn. Your father sounds paranoid. My father is dead. Her voice went flat. Assassinated 2 years ago. Officially, it was a shuttle malfunction. Unofficially, everyone knows the coalition ordered it. Why? Because he wouldn't sell. The coalition wanted majority control of our refineries. He refused, so they killed him and went after my brother instead. She stood, moved to a cabinet, and pulled out medical supplies. My brother is smarter than my father was, but less cautious. When he found proof of the poisoning scheme, he thought transparency would protect him. She pressed antiseptic to the cut on her forehead, wincing. It didn't, Ethan said quietly. No, it made him target number 1. She sealed the wound with synthetic skin. I was on Centauri Station trying to gather allies, political support, anyone who might stand against the coalition. Then the arrest orders came through, and I had about 10 minutes before station security locked down my sector. So you found me. So I found you. She looked at the ring on his finger. I'm sorry. I know I didn't give you a choice, but I couldn't let them take me, and I couldn't escape alone. Ethan touched the ring. It was warm against his skin, like it had always been there. What happens now? He asked. Now we survive. The marriage protects you legally, but it also makes you a target. The coalition will investigate. They'll try to prove it's fake. If they succeed, we both get executed for fraud and treason. Comforting. I don't deal in comfort. I deal in reality. Kira moved past him toward the ship's interior. Come on, I'll show you to the quarters. The living area was compact but well designed. 2 bunks, a small galley, storage compartments. You take the lower bunk, Kira said. I sleep light, and I need to be able to move fast. Ethan sat on the indicated bunk. It was surprisingly comfortable. There's food in the galley. Showers functional. We've got about 8 hours before we reach the outpost. She paused at the door. Get some rest. You look like hell. I got married, shot at, and nearly killed in the span of an hour. I think I'm entitled to look like hell. She almost smiled. Fair point. Kira, she turned back. Earlier, when you jumped off that ramp to catch the grenade, that was the stupidest, bravest thing I've ever seen. It was tactical. If the grenade had detonated near the ship, it was brave. Ethan interrupted. Just accept the compliment. This time she did smile, small but genuine. Get some rest, Ethan. She left. Ethan lay back on the bunk, staring at the ceiling. His mind was racing too fast for sleep. Everything had changed in the span of an hour. His old life felt impossibly distant now. He looked at the ring again. Husband, he thought, to a woman? I don't know. In a war, I don't understand. But as he closed his eyes, one thought kept repeating. She could have run alone, could have found another way, but she'd chosen to trust him at the end, when he'd grabbed her arm and pulled her back onto the ship. Maybe that meant something. Or maybe he was just an idiot who'd signed his own death warrant. 8 hours until they found out. The outpost appeared on their sensors like a rusted jewel against the void. That's our safe haven? Ethan stared at the screen. The structure looked like someone had welded 50 different ships together and called it architecture. Freeport Station, Kira said. No laws, no allegiances. You can buy anything here if you have the credits, including safety, especially safety. She guided them toward a docking port. The station's automated systems demanded payment up front. Kira transferred the credits without hesitation. They docked with a metallic clang that didn't inspire confidence. Stay close, Kira said, checking her weapons. And don't talk to anyone unless I tell you to. The station's interior was exactly what Ethan expected. Dim lighting, stale air, people of a dozen species moving through corridors that smelled like oil and desperation. Kira moved through it all with purpose, heading toward a section marked Repairs and Refits. A massive creature with 4 arms looked up from a workbench. Its skin was deep blue, and its eyes were orange slits. Kira Thane, it rumbled. Heard you were dead. Heard wrong, Vex. The creature's mouth split into something approximating a grin. Coalition's offering 5 million credits for you. Alive or dead? Ethan's hand moved toward his pistol. Kira didn't flinch. You going to collect? Vex laughed, a sound like grinding gears. And lose my best customer? Your family's kept me in business for years. What do you need? Hull repairs, shield generators, and discretion. Discretion cost extra, I'm aware. Vex's eyes shifted to Ethan. Who's the human? My husband. All 4 of Vex's arms stopped moving. You're what? You heard me. The alien studied Ethan with unsettling intensity. Then it laughed again. Humans, you people are insane. I like it. It gestured toward the ship. I'll have my crew start repairs. 6 hours, maybe 7, make it 5. Cost double. Kira transferred more credits. 5 hours. Vex nodded, already shouting orders to workers in a language Ethan didn't recognize. Kira pulled Ethan away from the docks, deeper into the station. Where are we going? To see someone who can help us disappear. They descended 3 levels through increasingly questionable corridors. Finally, Kira stopped at a door marked only with a symbol Ethan didn't recognize. She knocked 4 times, paused, knocked twice more. The door opened. The woman behind it was human, middle-aged, gray hair pulled back severely, eyes that had seen too much. Kira, she said softly, I wondered if you'd come here. Hello, Victoria. They embraced briefly. When they separated, Victoria's eyes found Ethan. And you've brought a complication. His name is Ethan Brooks. He's my husband. Victoria's eyebrows rose. Since when? Since this morning. I see. Victoria stepped aside. Come in, quickly. The room beyond was part workshop, part armory, part intelligence hub. Screens covered one wall displaying news feeds from across the galaxy. Most of them showed Kira's face. You're the most wanted woman in Coalition space, Victoria said, pulling up a bounty notice. They're calling you a terrorist, claiming you helped your brother sabotage 3 fuel stations. None of that is true. I know. I've seen the real data. Victoria tapped a screen. Your brother was right. The Coalition has been introducing a slow-acting neurotoxin into fuel supplies at Thane stations. Workers are getting sick, dying. The Coalition planned to blame your family's quality control, seize the refineries as a public safety measure, and take control of the galaxy's fuel supply. Ethan felt sick. That's genocide. That's business. Victoria said grimly. But your brother exposed them too early. Now they're scrambling to control the narrative. Kira leaned against a table. How bad is it? Bad. 6 of your family members are confirmed dead. 12 more are missing. The Coalition has frozen all Thane accounts and declared martial law on stations your family controlled. What about my brother? Victoria's expression softened. He's alive, in hiding. Last I heard, he was trying to reach the outer colonies, build support for a resistance. Relief washed over Kira's face, quickly replaced by determination. I need to reach him. That's suicide. The coalition has every jump route monitored. Then I need new identities for both of us. Kira gestured to Ethan. Documentation that can survive deep scrutiny. Victoria studied them both. A real marriage would be easiest, harder to disprove. It is real, Kira said, legally, but not emotionally, not yet. Victoria turned to Ethan. The coalition will investigate you, your history, your motivations. They'll interview everyone you've ever known. Can you sell this? Ethan's mouth went dry. Sell what? Being in love with her, being committed enough to risk everything. Victoria's gaze was piercing. Because if you can't, they'll see through it, and you'll both die. Ethan looked at Kira. She was watching him, expression unreadable. I don't know, he admitted. This is all happening so fast. Then you need to learn fast, Victoria said. She pulled up files on her screen. I can create a deeper history. More photos, communication logs, financial entanglement. But the real test will be face-to-face interrogation. They'll separate you. Ask the same questions different ways. Look for inconsistencies. What kind of questions? Kira asked. How you met, first date, why you fell in love, pet names, habits, fears, dreams, everything real couples know about each other. Ethan's head spun. We've known each other for 6 hours. Then you have until the coalition finds you to make it convincing. Victoria started typing. I'll create a cover story. You two need to memorize it, live it, believe it. Over the next 2 hours, Victoria built them a life. They'd met on Earth at a mining conference in Denver. Kira had been representing her family's interests. Ethan had been presenting research on asteroid composition. They'd argued about extraction methods over drinks, and the argument had turned into conversation, and conversation had turned into something else. 3 months of messages, visits when they could manage, a proposal on a beach in Mexico. Victoria showed them the fabricated photos. Ethan at dinner with Kira, both laughing. Kira visiting one of his mining sites, wearing a borrowed hard hat. The two of them dancing at their small wedding ceremony. This is your truth now, Victoria said. Every detail, every moment. Make it real in your minds. Kira studied the photos with laser focus, memorizing everything. Ethan felt like he was drowning. How do we make this believable? You spend time together, Victoria said bluntly. You talk. You learn each other. You find real connection points. She paused. Or you fake it so well that even you believe it. A chime sounded. Victoria checked her screen, and her expression tightened. Coalition ships just entered this sector. 3 cruisers. They're scanning all stations. How long? Kira asked. 2 hours. Maybe 3 before they reach Freeport. Kira turned to Ethan. We need to leave as soon as Vex finishes repairs. Where do we go? Somewhere they won't expect. She looked at Victoria. The fringe colonies. Can you get us credentials? For the fringe? Victoria's eyes widened. Kira, those are lawless territories. Even worse than here. Exactly. The coalition won't follow us there. Too much political risk. Victoria hesitated, then nodded. I'll have the documents ready in an hour. But Kira, the fringe is dangerous. Not just criminals. There are things out there the coalition doesn't talk about. We'll manage. Victoria pulled Kira aside. They spoke in low voices. Ethan couldn't hear the words, but he saw Victoria press something into Kira's hand. When they returned, Victoria's expression was grave. Be careful, she said. Both of you. They left quickly, moving back through the station's corridors. What did she give you? Ethan asked. Kira showed him. A data chip, coordinates to where my brother might be hiding. She pocketed it carefully. And a warning. She thinks someone on this station is feeding information to the Coalition. Should we be worried? Always. They reached the docks. Vex's crew was just finishing the last repairs. 5 hours like I promised, Vex called out. She'll fly true. Kira paid the final installment. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just survive. Vex's orange eyes gleamed. And when this war ends, remember who helped you. They boarded quickly. Kira ran through pre-flight checks while Ethan strapped in. Ready? She asked.
No.
But let's go anyway. The ship lifted off. Behind them, proximity alarms began wailing throughout the station. They're here, Kira said, watching Coalition ships appear on sensors. Can we outrun them? We're about to find out. She pushed the engines to maximum and aimed them toward the edge of the system, toward the fringe, toward whatever waited in the darkness. The jump to the fringe took 6 hours through routes that made Ethan's teeth ache. Kira navigated them through debris fields and gravitational anomalies that no sane pilot would attempt. Every time Ethan thought they'd die, she proved him wrong with maneuvers that defied physics. When they finally dropped out of FTL, the planet below looked like something from a nightmare. Red sky, black oceans, cities that glowed with bioluminescent light. Welcome to Ash Colony, Kira said. Population, criminals, exiles, and people the galaxy forgot. Sounds charming. It's perfect. The Coalition has no jurisdiction here. Local warlords run everything, and they hate outside interference. They descended through the atmosphere. The air was thick with particles that made the ships hull groan. Landing protocols were transmitted in a dozen languages, none of them friendly. Kira chose a landing pad on the outskirts of the largest city. The moment they touched down, armed figures surrounded their ship. Stay calm, Kira said. Let me talk. They opened the hatch. The air outside was hot and smelled like sulfur. The leader of the armed group was a woman with cybernetic implants covering half her face. Her remaining eye was ice blue. State your business, she said. Her voice was augmented, echoing strangely. Sanctuary, Kira replied. We're seeking refuge from Coalition persecution. The woman's eye scanned them both. You're Kira Thane. I am. There's a bounty on you. Big one. I'm aware. I'm also aware that the Coalition doesn't pay bounties in the fringe. They make promises and then send warships. The woman smiled. Smart. You understand how things work here. She gestured to her crew. Lower weapons, but you're coming with us. The magistrate will want to meet you. They were escorted through streets that looked like someone had built a city from scrap metal and bad decisions. People stared as they passed. Some whispered. Others touched weapons. The magistrate's compound was a fortress built into a cliff face. Inside, it was surprisingly elegant. Art on the walls, real plants growing in hydroponic gardens. The magistrate himself was human. Old, scarred, but his eyes were sharp. Kira Thane, he said, studying her from behind a massive desk. I've been watching your situation with interest. Then you know I'm not a terrorist. I know the Coalition wants you dead. That's usually a mark of character in my experience. His gaze shifted to Ethan. And you brought a husband. How domestic. Ethan Brooks, mining contractor, Terran citizen. The Coalition will use him against you. Leverage, pressure. They'll threaten him to make you surrender. Kira's jaw tightened. I won't let that happen. Noble, foolish, but noble. The magistrate stood, walking to a window that overlooked the city. I'll grant you sanctuary on one condition. What condition? You work for me. 6 months. Your skills, your knowledge, your connections. In exchange, I protect you from the Coalition and anyone else who comes looking. What kind of work? The kind that requires someone smart, ruthless, and desperate. I have enemies. So do you. Perhaps we can help each other. Kira glanced at Ethan. He gave a slight nod. They didn't have many options. What do you need? She asked. The magistrate smiled. There's a facility 300 kilometers north. Coalition Research Station. Officially, it doesn't exist. They're developing something there. Something dangerous. I want to know what it is. You want us to infiltrate a coalition black site? I want you to gather intelligence. Nothing more. Get in, access their systems, get out. My sources say they're short-staffed right now. Security is lighter than usual. Why do you care what the coalition is researching? Because they're doing it in my territory, without permission. That's disrespectful. The magistrate returned to his desk. And because whatever they're building, it's important enough that they're risking discovery to work on it here. Ethan spoke up. If we do this, we need guarantees, real protection, not just promises. The magistrate studied him with new interest. The husband has a spine. Good. He pulled out a data pad. I'll provide you with resources, equipment, local guides, and a safe house where no one will find you. In return, you bring me everything you can on that facility. And after 6 months? Kira asked. After 6 months, we renegotiate, or you leave with my blessing and enough credits to disappear anywhere in the galaxy. He extended a hand. Do we have a deal? Kira shook it. We have a deal. The safe house was a converted warehouse near the city's edge. Reinforced walls, multiple exits, enough supplies for a month. Ethan collapsed onto a worn couch the moment they were alone. We just agreed to spy on a coalition black site, he said. A few hours ago, I was worried about mineral quotas. Kira was already studying maps of the facility on her data pad. Life changes fast. That's an understatement. She looked up at him. Really looked up. I know this isn't what you wanted. Any of this? It's not. Ethan sat forward. But I'm here now, so tell me the truth. Can we actually pull this off? Honestly, I don't know. The facility will have security, automated defenses, probably guards. Even if it's understaffed, it's still dangerous. Then why did you agree? Because the magistrate is right. The coalition doesn't do anything without a reason. If they're running a secret research facility in the fringe, it's because they're working on something they can't risk anyone discovering. And if it's connected to the fuel poisoning or to whatever they're planning next, she trailed off. I need to know what they're doing. Ethan understood. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about fighting back. Okay, he said. Then we need a plan. They spent the next 3 hours going over everything. The facility's layout, possible entry points, the best times to infiltrate. Kira explained security systems with the ease of someone who'd bypassed them before. You've done this before, Ethan said. Corporate espionage was part of my training. My father wanted us prepared for every scenario. Did he prepare you for this scenario? Married to a stranger? Hiding in the fringe? Planning to break into a military facility? Kira laughed. Actually laughed. No, this is new territory for both of us. They ordered food from a local vendor, something that claimed to be noodles but tasted like engine grease. They ate anyway, too hungry to care. As they ate, Ethan asked the question that had been bothering him. Victoria said we need to make the marriage believable, learn about each other. So, tell me something real, not the cover story, something true. Kira set down her food. Like what? Anything. Your favorite color. Your worst fear. What you wanted to be when you were a kid. Just something that helps me understand who you are. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I wanted to be an explorer. Not the corporate kind, the real kind, discovering new worlds, seeing things no one had ever seen before. Why didn't you? Because my family needed me. Because there are responsibilities that matter more than dreams. She met his eyes. What about you? What did you want? I wanted to build things, structures that would last, cities, stations, things that mattered. He gestured at his worn jacket, ended up drilling holes in asteroids instead. That's not nothing. Mining keeps colonies alive, provides resources. It matters, maybe, but it's not what I dreamed about. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. We're quite a pair, Kira said finally. Both of us living lives we didn't plan. Yeah, but at least now we're doing it together. It was a small thing, a tiny connection, but Ethan saw something shift in Kira's expression, like she'd decided he was worth trusting. Really trusting. Tomorrow we scout the facility, she said. Get a sense of their patterns. Day after, we go in. That fast? The coalition is looking for us. The longer we wait, the more likely they find us. She stood stretching. Get some rest. Tomorrow might be our only chance to look around safely. Ethan found a bedroom and collapsed onto the bed. His body was exhausted, but his mind kept racing. He thought about Victoria's words, about making the marriage real, about learning to care, and he realized with a start that he was already starting to. Kira was dangerous, reckless, and had dragged him into a war he didn't understand, but she was also brilliant, brave, and fighting for something that mattered. He touched the ring on his finger. Husband, he thought again. Maybe it wasn't such a terrible thing to be. The facility sat in a valley like a tumor. Ethan watched through binoculars from their position on the ridge. 3 buildings connected by enclosed walkways. Automated turrets on the perimeter. Guards patrolling in shifts. I count 12 visible security personnel, Kira said beside him. She was using a scanner that showed heat signatures. Probably more inside. That's not understaffed. It's lighter than it should be for a black site. Trust me. She marked positions on her datapad. The northern building is administrative. Central is research. Southern is storage and maintenance. How do you know? Power consumption patterns. The central building is drawing 3 times the energy of the others. That's where the serious work happens. Ethan studied the approaches. Rocky terrain, minimal cover. Getting in without being seen is going to be nearly impossible. We're not going to sneak in, he turned to her. What? Kira was smiling. We're going to walk through the front door. She explained the plan on the way back to the safe house. It was insane. It relied on a dozen things going exactly right, and Ethan hated that he couldn't think of anything better. You're sure this will work? He asked. No, but it's our best option. They spent the afternoon preparing. Kira modified 2 sets of coalition uniforms she'd somehow acquired. Ethan didn't ask where they came from. These will get us past the gate, she said, adjusting his collar. But once we're inside, we need to move fast. The real inspection team could arrive at any time. Wait, there's a real inspection team? Of course. I scheduled one. She showed him forged authorization codes. Coalition bureaucracy is predictable. Every black site gets a quarterly safety review. I simply moved the schedule up and made sure we're the ones who show up. You're terrifying, thank you. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He kept running through the plan, finding new ways it could fail. Around midnight, he heard movement in the main room. Found Kira sitting by the window, staring at the red sky. Can't sleep either? He asked. I keep thinking about my brother, wondering if he's safe. She didn't look at him. We were close growing up. He taught me to fly, to fight, to question everything. Ethan sat beside her. You'll see him again, maybe. If we survive this, If the coalition doesn't kill us first, she finally turned to him. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. You deserved better than being forced into a war. You saved my life back on that station. Those guards would have killed me just for being a witness. I put you in danger in the first place. Yeah, but you also gave me something to fight for, something that matters more than mineral surveys and profit margins. He touched the ring. I've been thinking about what Victoria said, about making this real, and the truth is, I don't think we have to fake it. Kira's eyes widened slightly. What do you mean? I mean, you're the bravest person I've ever met. You're fighting an entire government to protect your family and expose the truth. That's not something I can just walk away from. Even if I could. He met her gaze. So maybe this marriage started as a lie, but it doesn't have to stay that way. For a long moment, Kira said nothing. Then she reached out and took his hand. You're a good man, Ethan Brooks. Better than I expected to find in a loading bay. And you're a good woman, even if you are completely insane. She laughed softly. Fair assessment. They sat like that, hands linked, watching the alien sky until exhaustion finally won. Dawn came too quickly. They dressed in the coalition uniforms. Kira handed Ethan a false ID chip. Inspector Marcus Wade, she said, specializing in radiation containment protocols. You're here to review their safety measures. And you? Inspector Sarah Vance, equipment specialist. We've been partners for 2 years. They took a ground vehicle toward the facility. Ethan's heart hammered as they approached the gate. The guard looked bored when he scanned their IDs. Inspectors? We weren't notified. Surprise inspection, Kira said smoothly. New policy. After the incident on Kepler Station, Command decided advance notice was compromising the accuracy of our assessments. The guard frowned. I'll need to verify. Of course. Contact Central Command. Ask for Director Chen. Authorization code 77 Delta 9. She rattled it off like she'd said it 1,000 times. The guard entered the code. Waited. His screen turned green. You're cleared. Building 2 for check-in. The gate opened. They drove through, and Ethan forced himself to breathe normally. How did you do that? He whispered. I hacked their authorization system last night, inserted our credentials. As long as no one looks too carefully, we're legitimate inspectors. They parked and entered Building 2. A tired-looking administrator met them in the lobby. Inspectors, this way, please. She led them through corridors filled with equipment Ethan didn't recognize. Scientists worked in labs behind reinforced glass. Most looked exhausted. You're welcome to review any area, the administrator said. Though I should mention we're in the middle of a critical phase. Try not to disturb the work. Understood, Kira said. We'll start with the Central Research Facility. The administrator hesitated. That area is restricted, even to inspectors. Not according to Directive 12B. All areas must be accessible during safety reviews. No exceptions. Kira's tone suggested she'd done this before. The administrator sighed. Fine, but you'll need an escort. Unacceptable. Escorts compromise the integrity of independent review. We go alone, or I file a compliance violation. Another hesitation. Then the administrator handed over access cards. 30 minutes, then security will escort you out. Agreed. They took an elevator down 3 levels. The doors opened onto a corridor lined with containment cells. And inside those cells were things that made Ethan's blood freeze. Creatures, partially organic, partially mechanical. They twisted against their restraints, their movements wrong, their eyes too aware. What are they? Ethan breathed. Kira was pale. Hybrids. They're combining human biology with alien genetics. Why would they do that? She pulled out a datapad. scanning the nearest terminal. Files downloaded rapidly, looking for soldiers, enhanced humans who can survive in environments normal people can't, stronger, faster, more adaptable. That's illegal. The Geneva Accords mean nothing to people desperate enough. She kept downloading. This is what they're hiding. Not just fuel poisoning. They're building an army. Alarms suddenly screamed to life. Time's up, Ethan said. Almost done. Kira's fingers flew across the terminal. Footsteps echoed from down the corridor. Heavy boots. Multiple sets. Kira! Got it. She yanked the datapad free. Run! They sprinted back to the elevator. The doors were closing as armed guards rounded the corner. Stop them! Energy blast scorched the walls. Ethan and Kira dove into the elevator. The doors sealed just as another blast hit. They know, Ethan gasped. They know. Kira jammed the controls. We need to get out before they lock down the facility. The elevator rose, opened on the ground floor. Chaos waited. More guards, scientists evacuating, alarms everywhere. Kira grabbed Ethan's hand and ran toward the nearest exit. A guard stepped into their path. Kira didn't hesitate. She swept his legs and took his weapon in one fluid motion. Go! They burst through the exit into blinding sunlight. Their vehicle was surrounded. Plan B, Kira said. We don't have a plan B. Now we do. She pointed to a coalition transport ship on the landing pad. We steal that. They ran. Blasts chased them across the tarmac. Ethan felt heat sear past his shoulder. They reached the ship. Kira bypassed the locks, while Ethan provided covering fire with the stolen weapon. The engines roared to life. They lifted off as guards swarmed the pad. Energy fire hammered their shields. Kira pushed the ship into a steep climb. Behind them, the facility's defense systems activated. Missiles launched. Hold on. She banked hard. The missiles overshot, circled back. Kira dove into a canyon. The missiles followed. She threaded the ship through impossibly narrow gaps, her hands steady on the controls. One missile clipped a canyon wall and exploded. The shock wave rocked their ship. Two more remained, locked on, closing fast. Ideas? Ethan shouted. Working on it. She killed the engines. They dropped like a stone. The missiles shot past overhead. Kira reignited the engines at the last second. They pulled up, barely clearing the canyon floor. The missiles couldn't correct in time. Both slammed into the canyon walls. Kira punched through to open sky and engaged FTL. Reality twisted. They jumped. When space stabilized, they were alone in the black. Ethan's hands were shaking. We're alive. We're alive. Kira checked the stolen data. Her expression turned grim. And we have proof. Proof of what the coalition is really doing. What do we do with it? We get it to my brother. To anyone who will listen, we expose this nightmare. Ethan looked at her, covered in dust, hair wild, eyes burning with determination. His wife, not by choice, not at first, but now it felt right. Then let's finish this, he said. Together, Kira smiled. Together, the transmission came through 3 days later. Kira's brother, alive. Coordinates included. It's a trap, Ethan said immediately. Probably, Kira studied the message, but it's also our only lead. They'd been hiding in the debris field of a dead planet, running silent, living on rations. The stolen data sat encrypted on Kira's pad. Proof of hybrid experiments, proof of fuel poisoning, proof of everything. But proof meant nothing if they couldn't deliver it. The coordinates are in neutral space, Kira said. Station Meridian. It's a trade hub, crowded. Public, which means witnesses if it goes wrong, or cover if we need to run. She looked at him. We're in this together now. Ethan thought about the creatures in those cells, about the fuel poisoning killing innocent workers, about everything the coalition was willing to do to maintain power. "We go," he said, but carefully. Station Meridian was everything promised. Thousands of people from hundreds of worlds, markets, docks, chaos. They docked under false credentials and moved through crowds wearing nondescript clothing. Kira kept one hand near her concealed weapon. The meeting point was a cafe overlooking the station's central atrium. Kira's brother sat alone at a corner table. He looked like her. Same sharp eyes, same determined jaw, but he was thinner, exhausted, haunted. Kira. He stood as they approached. Nathan. They embraced. Ethan saw tears in both their eyes. When they separated, Nathan studied Ethan. "So you're the husband, Ethan Brooks, Nathan Thane." They shook hands. "Thank you for protecting my sister. She's been protecting me more than the other way around." Nathan smiled slightly. "That sounds like her." He gestured for them to sit. "You have the data?" Kira slid the pad across the table. "Every fuel contamination, plans for military expansion. It's all there." Nathan accessed it. His face grew darker with each file. "This is worse than I thought. They're not just building soldiers, they're preparing for conquest. We need to go public," Kira said. "Release everything. Let the galaxy see what they're doing." "I've been trying." Every major news network is either controlled by the coalition or too scared to run the story. Nathan looked around nervously. "I have one contact left, independent journalist. She's willing to publish, but she needs verification, third-party confirmation that the data is genuine." "Where is she?"
Here.
"On this station." He checked his chronometer. "She's supposed to meet us in 20 minutes at Dock 12. Ethan's instincts screamed, "This feels wrong." "It is wrong," Nathan said. "All of it. But it's the only chance we have." They made their way toward Dock 12. The crowds thinned. The lighting grew dimmer. Ethan saw them first. Coalition soldiers, trying to blend in. "Failing where made," he said quietly. Kira saw them too. "Nathan, did you tell anyone else about this meeting?" "No, just you." "Then how did they know?" Nathan's face went white. "The journalist. They got to her." Soldiers moved in from 3 directions. Weapons drawn, but not yet raised. Trying to look casual. "We need to move," Kira said. "Now." They turned down a side corridor. More soldiers ahead. "They boxed us in," Nathan said. Ethan spotted a maintenance hatch. There. They pried it open and dropped into the service tunnels below. Alarms began wailing throughout the station. "They're locking everything down," Kira said, checking her pad. "We have maybe 5 minutes before they seal all the docks." They ran through tunnels that smelled like coolant and desperation. Behind them, boots echoed. Shouts. Orders to surrender. Nathan stumbled, caught himself, kept moving. They emerged near Dock 7. Their ship was at Dock 9. "We'll never make it," Nathan gasped. "Yes, we will." Kira pulled out a small device, pressed it. Their ship's engines activated remotely. The hull shuddered as it prepared for emergency launch. "You can remote pilot it?" Ethan asked. "My brother taught me." She was already inputting commands. "It'll meet us at the closest external airlock. We just need to reach it." They sprinted through the station. People scattered. Security tried to cut them off, but Kira anticipated every move, routing them through maintenance passages and cargo bays. They reached the airlock, sealed it behind them. Through the viewport, their ship was approaching. 30 meters. 20. Soldiers began cutting through the door. 10 meters. The door started to buckle. 5 meters. Jump. Kira opened the airlock. Space tried to kill them. Ethan's lungs screamed. His blood felt like it was boiling. Then they hit the ship's hull. Emergency tethers activated, pulled them toward the airlock. They tumbled inside. The door sealed. Pressure equalized. Ethan gasped air that tasted like heaven. Kira was already moving to the cockpit. Nathan collapsed against a wall, coughing. "Everyone alive?" Kira called out. "Barely," Ethan managed. The ship lurched into motion. Behind them, Coalition fighters launched from the station. "Here we go again," Kira muttered. She pushed the engines hard, weaved through debris. The fighters pursued. Nathan joined them in the cockpit. "I can help. I'm a better pilot than you. You're injured. I'm functional." "Move over," they switched positions. Nathan took the controls and immediately pulled maneuvers that made Ethan's earlier flights look tame. "Where did you learn to fly like this?" Ethan asked. "Racing circuits before the family business consumed my life." Nathan barrel rolled between two asteroids, some skills you never forget. A blast clipped their stern. Shields flickered. "We can't outrun them forever," Kira said. "We need a plan." Ethan stared at the datapad still clutched in his hand. All that proof, all that evidence. "The journalist was compromised," he said, "but the data's real. What if we just released it ourselves, where every major platform is monitored?" "Not every platform." Ethan pulled up a network interface. "The Fringe has independent channels, unregulated, uncontrollable. If we broadcast from here, the Coalition can't stop it." Nathan looked at Kira. "Will it work?" "It might." She started configuring their communications array. "But we'll need to boost the signal and stay alive long enough to transmit everything." Another blast. Shields down to 30%. Nathan flew them into an asteroid field. The fighters followed. He used the rocks as cover, buying them time. Kira worked frantically. Signals boosted, targeting every independent channel in the Fringe. "Once I hit send, the Coalition will know exactly where we are." "Do it," Nathan said. She pressed the button. Data flooded outward. Files, video, evidence. Everything they'd risked their lives for, spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. The Coalition fighters intensified their attack. "Shields at 10%, Ethan reported. "Almost there," Kira said. 70% uploaded. 80. A blast struck them dead center. The ship spun. Alarm screamed. "Nathan," Kira shouted. "I'm okay. Keep transmitting." 95%. The fighters moved in for the kill. Ethan could see their weapons charging. 100%, Kira said. "It's done. The data's out." Nathan smiled grimly. "Then let's survive long enough to see what happens." He executed a maneuver Ethan would later swear was impossible. The ship flipped end over end, redirected all power to engines, and shot through a gap in the asteroids the fighters couldn't follow. Two of them tried anyway. Both clipped rocks and exploded. The third broke off. Retreated, they flew in silence for a moment. Then Nathan started laughing. Actually laughing. "We did it," he said. "We actually did it." Kira was monitoring feeds. "It's spreading. Independent networks are picking it up, analyzing it, sharing it." "How long before the Coalition can suppress it?" Ethan asked. "They can't. It's gone viral across the Fringe. Even if they try to deny it, people will ask questions, demand investigations." Nathan set a course for deep space. "What now?" Kira looked at Ethan, at her brother chapter. "Now we disappear. Let the truth do its work, and we survive." Weeks passed. They hid in systems the Coalition had forgotten, watched as the galaxy erupted. Protests on a dozen worlds. Investigations launched. Coalition officials arrested. The fuel contamination exposed. The hybrid experiments shut down. It wasn't perfect. The Coalition still had power, but it was damaged. vulnerable, and people were finally asking the right questions. Ethan stood on the observation deck of their ship, watching stars drift past. Kira joined him, slipped her hand into his. "Thinking about Earth?" she asked. "Thinking about everything." He looked at the ring on his finger. "A few weeks ago, I was nobody, just a contractor. Now I'm married to the woman who helped expose the biggest conspiracy in galactic history." "Regret it?" "Not even a little." He turned to her. "You saved my life. Then you gave it meaning. You saved mine too. Not just physically. You reminded me that there's still goodness in the galaxy. Still people worth fighting for." They kissed, not frantically like that first time in the loading bay. Slowly, honestly. When they separated, Kira smiled. "So, husband, what do we do now?" "I don't know. What do married people usually do?" "I hear they sometimes try being happy." "That sounds nice. Let's try that." Nathan called from the cockpit. "You two done being disgustingly romantic? Because I found something you should see." They joined him. He was showing them a news feed. The Coalition Secretary of Defense had resigned. 3 senators were under investigation, and the Thane family's assets were being unfrozen. "It's not over," Nathan said, "but it's a start." "A good start," Kira agreed. Ethan looked at them both. This strange family he'd somehow become part of. "So where to now?" he asked. Nathan grinned. "I was thinking we could explore the outer colonies. See what's out there. Maybe find some actual peace and quiet." "Peace and quiet sounds boring," Kira said. "I was thinking we could help rebuild the refinery stations. Make sure what happened never happens again." They both looked at Ethan. He thought about it, about the man he'd been versus the man he'd become. "I think," he said slowly, "we should do both. Explore, build, help people, live." Kira squeezed his hand. "Together!" "Together," he agreed. The ship jumped to FTL, carrying them toward whatever came next, toward a future they'd earned, a life they'd chosen, and a love that had started as a lie but had become the truest thing either of them had ever known.